You are listening to Balloon Killers. I'm your host, Chrissy Riley, and each episode I'll be talking to someone from the world of cowboy mounted shooting, which is one of the most exciting and fastest growing equestrian sports. Hold on to your hats because it's going to get western. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, including my own dad in the UK. Dad, thanks for all that you've done for me and all you continue to do. And I hope that Amazon got it right this time and sent you chocolate instead of Lucky Charms. As so many guests have mentioned on previous episodes of Balloon Killers, mounted shooting is very much a family affair, and family is very important to me. So, as there wasn't a scheduled episode this week, I decided to do a special episode to celebrate the amazing dads in our sport. If you go to any shoot, you're going to see the dads of our sport dashing around to support their own and others' children. Whether it's the real dad, the stepdad, the adopted dad, the foster dad, you see them in the arena leading their wranglers or standing at the end of the arena shouting words of encouragement or guidance, often with white knuckles on the rail. You see them loading guns at the loading table or talking their kids through the pattern. You see them checking cinches or tack and giving that final word of encouragement. And they're there at the gate to be the first one to congratulate or commiserate. And I just love the beaming smiles and pride on dads' faces as they celebrate the buckles, the checks, the prizes, and of course, the move-up dances. So thanks so much, dads, for all that you do for the sport. For Mother's Day, we had the lovely Brandy and Morgan Swanson. And for this Father's Day special, I was lucky enough to catch up with siblings Rylee and Dylan Lawson and their dad, Kenny. Who got into mounted shooting first? Was it dad or the kids? And how did you get into the sport?
Well, we were involved with some other horse disciplines at the time. Dylan was roping, Rylee was running barrels. We were doing a little gymkhana, and I was doing everything from colt starting to Western dressage. And I saw a flyer from Lori Brown, who this would have been 2014. She was putting on a mounted shooting clinic, and it was in our local horse trader magazine. And I was fascinated with it. And so I decided it was local. So I decided to attend her clinic. And she was the current ladies 4 world champion at the time. So I went, it was all classroom. And at the end of it, she put on a demonstration. And I was immediately like, I've got to try this. Mm-hmm. And so she put me in contact with Johnny and Kathy Hendrick, who were running the Roy Rogers Rangers at the time. And Johnny was, I'm trying to remember, his number was like 17. Mm-hmm. I believe he was in the first 20 numbers of CMSA. So he was one of the first people to be involved. And so he, along with Kathy, put on practices. And so we started going out to their practices and quickly found out it was kind of hard to do. You know, they gave us some direction, and then we just kind of took off from there.
Rylee and my dad went to first clinic, and they wanted me to go, but I slept in and I didn't go. Actually, I actually really wasn't very interested in mounted shooting, I don't think, until 2015, middle of 2015. I got drugged to a couple shoots, and then I was hooked.
Mm-hmm. And you've been doing it as a family ever since?
That's correct.
Yep. So what do you all love about the sport? Because you've been doing it for at least 10 years now, so you must love it. What do you love about it?
Well, just like what everyone else says, the people are different. We come from the world of saddlebreds in the very beginning. That's actually what we started out doing as kids. And it's a judged event, and it does get political, as do most judged events. And so, you know, the people in this sport are different. The atmosphere is different. I've lent competitors my guns. I've had competitors lend me their guns. I've borrowed horses. I've lent my horse out, and that's just so unique. And I know that's a very stereotypical answer because everyone says that, but I think we all come to that conclusion.
I guess I'll take it a little different direction because I've listened to this a couple times, and it's very easy to say the people because the people are so great. Everyone says that, but I'll say I really like the challenge of mountain shooting. I think it's one of the hardest equestrian sports out there. I was living in Wickenburg with Mary Benson for a while, working out there, and we had a couple ropers actually come out and try it, and they were hooked. They loved it, and I remember all of them saying how much harder it was than they thought, than they thought it was going to be. And I just really enjoy the challenge of it. And every shoot's a new adventure, and you could go out and win a major title, and then the next weekend you could go out and basically not hit anything. I've had a lot of weekends like that, and I know a lot of people that have. So I really enjoy the challenge of it.
How about you, Kenny?
Well, I definitely combining the horsemanship, speed, and shooting is definitely a draw. And the feel of just hitting a run and shooting all your targets and running a nice a run is just a real high. I come from a lot of different backgrounds. I been involved with everything from standardbreds and driving horses at speed to being involved with reining and show horses. And my family, I'm a third generation horse trainer, so my family goes way back in horses. But I don't know, there's such an endorphin rush that I think this sport gives you that is at maybe a different level than some of the other horse disciplines. For me personally, just having the diverse background that I have, I can really compare it to a lot of other things. But it's definitely, as we all know, like my wife likes to say, the first balloon you miss is what hooks you.
So what are some of the positive things about shooting as a family?
The thing that I like about shooting as a family and traveling as a family is obviously the constant support. We all, especially on the trip that we're on currently, Dylan has 3 horses. My dad has 2 horses. I have 2 horses. We have a lot of help. And traveling across the country, it gives you confidence to be with people. If you need help, if you need anything, there's a lot of positives to it, but mostly just the constant support. We all help each other in different ways. We all bring something different to the table in terms of helping, whether it be with the guns, with the feeding, with, helping people tack up. So I think that's the biggest positive.
Do you think that shooting as a family, you're also pushing each other because there's that higher level of competition within the family?
Well, it's different for me because I'm a girl, so obviously I don't really directly compete with my dad and Dylan, but there is a little bit of that, of pushing each other. We all want to be better, but I don't know if we directly feel competitive against each other, if that makes sense. My dad's a senior men's 6, Dylan's a men's 6, and I'm a lady 6. So like I said, we don't directly compete.
How about some of the challenges that you found shooting as a family?
Well, I tell you, as the dad, I can answer it this way. There's a lot of emotions that go through these competitions, expectations, disappointment. And I think managing that and navigating these shoots and learning how to handle those different emotions. Because, you come, we drive all over the country doing this. And, when you drive for 3 days and you put in a lot of work in, you're expecting to do well. And then handling when it doesn't go well, that's something that deepens our relationship and deepens our connection and, allows us to be closer in a lot of ways because we have those experiences together.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And spending that much time in a truck together, you must be really comfortable in each other's company by this point.
Oh, no, let me be clear. I do not drive in the same truck as my kids. They have their own trucks and rigs and stuff. So
you get a little bit of space from each other.
Absolutely. Well, I like different podcasts than they do.
Hopefully you all like Balloon Killers though, right?
Oh, definitely a must.
So what do you all do for your day jobs, and how does that work either with and or against your passion for mounted shooting?
I'm a horse trainer, so this, probably the challengingest thing for me is just that I'm riding a lot of clients' horses and shooting on them, and it does make it a little tougher to jump on my own horse, right before a competition and try to get with it. But for me, it's, I'm in it every day.
So you're training mostly mounted shooting horses?
Mostly, yes.
How about you, Rylee?
I work directly for my dad and for the ranch. So obviously all of my effort day to day is into horse training and mounted shooting, which is great, but there is also no break from it. So it is a 100% effort into mounted shooting.
And you have a little side hustle, am I right, with your skirts?
Hey, yes. So I actually have a few side hustles, but I do. My grandmother taught me how to sew, and I took off with it. So I do make all my own skirts, and I do make some skirts for some other gals, and I absolutely love it, and I have a lot of fun doing it. I have another side job, and I actually am a certified welder, and so I make metal art, and I will go to street fairs and art shows and events like that and sell metal art occasionally on the weekends. So it's a pretty fun life I get to live.
You are a woman of many talents, and I can attest to the fact that your skirts are amazing and beautiful.
Well, thank you so much.
How about you, Dylan?
Well, I'm super fortunate. I'm super lucky. I operate a little welding business. I primarily build fence and pole barns. I've been super lucky the last couple of years. I've basically been working for one client, which has allowed me to shoot as much as I have, and I couldn't be more fortunate. And then I get to come home and work horses with my dad and my sister, and I just get to do what I enjoy every single day. I'm one of the luckiest guys you'll ever meet.
Dylan is a very good equipment operator as well. So when we have to move a bunch of dirt or, get an excavator out, Dylan is on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Welding and equipment, that's what I do.
Sounds like some handy skills to have.
Around the ranch, yes.
This is a question that I ask all of the people who come on the podcast, but what is your favorite shoot? And this might be different for all of you.
I guess I'll answer first. I feel like everyone probably says this, and it's impossible not to. And I wish I had a different answer, but Vegas is definitely my favorite shoot. I feel like it's probably one of the hardest shoots to win of the year, just because the atmosphere and the best are there. Yeah, it's by far my favorite event. The amenities, the red carpet feeling. It's about it's about as good as it gets for me.
I'm excited to hear you say that because I'm going to Vegas next month. And so you're building my excitement now and you're making it more worthwhile that I'm taking the time to do it.
Yeah, if you're going to only go to one major a year, that's the major to go to.
I'd have to agree. The energy at South Point Casino in Vegas is unlike any of the other venues for me personally. It is just a can't miss event.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. Vegas is the best, and you will not be disappointed. Even though I had a really tough Vegas last year, it is just different. And for me personally, why I like it is it's about 6 hours from our house. It is the closest major, and we were actually discussing it this morning. We have friends that come and family that comes, and it ends up being like a working vacation and a fun competition.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince my brother to come from the UK. So, brother, if you're listening, you really should come and you should not miss this one, clearly. Do you have any tips for someone who hasn't been to Vegas before? What should I know about Vegas? What would you recommend?
Well, it's a little bit of a hot drive, but it's absolutely worth it. The arena is a little bit small, but I have never felt claustrophobic in it. But I mean, honestly, there's just a lot of positives to going. It's just such a fun event.
How about your favorite pattern and your tips for running it?
That's tough. That's really tough for me to narrow it down to one. I'd probably have to say the small tee. I believe it's the small tee. I think it's course 32. That is a challenging course, and I only say that specific course because Cody Clark actually had the world record in 2011, and I believe it's one of the only world records in the book that hadn't been broken up until 2023. I broke it at the World Championships in the Eliminator Final, and I remember that morning. I believe I had the Cody's run pulled up on my phone on YouTube, and me and Zane were going back and forth, and we were kind of talking about how that's going to be the toughest one to break, and that one might never get broke.
It has special meaning for you.
Yeah, for sure.
I have a personal favorite, and it's probably not a personal favorite to a lot of people, but it's a fond memory for me, is actually course number 12. It's a long gun course with 2 barrels. It's a fond memory for me because it is the only ladies open eliminator I've ever won. I did it at the Winter Championships, I think in 2020 or 2021. And I was the only woman to run it up the left side and run it the long gun way. And my mother, who doesn't know anything really about courses or course management or mounted shooting, thought I was running it the wrong way in the audience because everyone ran it up the right side, and I ended up winning the eliminator. And so it was just a fun one. And it, like I said, for most people, it's not a fun course, but it's a fun memory for me.
And that's a testament to doing it your own way, like looking at a course, looking at a pattern and thinking about you and your horse and what would be the best way to run it for you.
Yep.
How about you, Kenny?
This is a tough one, but I'd probably have to pick, I believe it's pattern number 4.
Yep.
It's the fast 5 up the left side. I won that in the Calvary showcase in February this year. And it just was probably one of the faster patterns that I've been able to run. It felt good. I felt like I hit it just right. And I was quickly patient in my shooting, which seems like two conflicting words, but in that pattern, you have to be patient and you have to be fast. And but that would probably, if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick that one.
Have you run any of the new patterns yet? I'm guessing so.
Yeah, now we haven't run them well, but we definitely have run them.
What do you think of those?
Well, we got some practice to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. They're definitely adding some different wrinkles to the sport by putting those in. We're going to have to find a flow in some of those that maybe don't flow as well as some of the other ones that we already have.
Yeah, I tried some of them in Rock Springs this weekend, and because there's no book, I'm so used to using Elizabeth Clavette's book to think about how I'm going to plan my runs, being a newer shooter. There was nothing in the book. So, and I'm level 2. So I was right at the very beginning. I wasn't the first person, thank goodness. So we were all sitting there talking right before the stage about how we were going to run it because we had no reference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see like how the rest of the season plays out with these new patterns, because there's, your confidence is not quite as high when you're not sure exactly, how are you going to send your horse in.
Exactly that. Now, you might have already talked about this a little bit in some of your other answers, but what's the win that you're most proud of and why?
Man, that's tough. So I wrote 2 down. They're kind of the years I really feel like I broke through. Probably winning the overall world championship in 2019 and winning the overall in Vegas in 2019. I think, winning the world championship is pretty self-explanatory. It was a huge milestone. It's something I really wanted to do. And obviously, that feeling was really special. And I won it as a 5 and actually moved up to a 6. The year I won, I got to dance with my sister, which was super cool. And then winning Vegas in 2019 was a really big deal for me personally, because I feel like that's one of the toughest shoots, if not the toughest shoot to win of the year, just because the best are there and the atmosphere. And those are definitely my two biggest ones that I'm the most proud of.
I also have 2 wins that I couldn't really decide. I won the ladies 5 at Worlds in 2021. That one was really special to me, and I felt like a very big accomplishment to me because that year at Worlds, they only pulled 1 pattern with a rundown. I ran the Kenda drill with 4 gates and 2 barrels and, ran some pretty gnarly patterns that year. And the way that they formatted the Worlds that year, you ran you ran stage 4 and 5 on the last day. And I was 3rd place going into stage number 4. And I had to sit there and watch both the girls in 1st and 2nd miss right in front of me. And I had to be able to compose myself, go in and shoot my run clean, and then immediately walk over to the main arena and keep my composure and know all I had to do was shoot clean. So that one was pretty good. I felt like I really kept my head well and I competed well and I rode to win. I didn't slow up to shoot clean. I rode my run. My pony was perfect and I just felt like a good accomplishment. But obviously, that class one was special. I won the ladies overall at the Southwest Regional in 2021 as a ladies 5. And that was cool because in the Southwest region, as you know, there's a lot of big hitters and incredible women that shoot down in this region. And to win the ladies overall as a 5 at a regional shoot that big, I was very proud of.
So you talked about how you had to maintain your composure, and it sounds like you've had to do that a lot. How do you do that? Do you have any strategies for us?
My dad always preaches to all of us and our clients that you ride to win, and you're not going to be proud of a competition if you slow down to shoot clean to win. And so I always try to approach stages and keep my composure and confidence. Confidence is key. You know, I could have slowed down and made a mistake at the Worlds or slowed down and made a mistake at the regional, but I rode my run. I didn't change what I was doing. I just tried to maintain my focus, and I told myself I would not be proud of the win if I slowed down just to shoot my balloons. And so I just rode, and I trusted in my dad's words, and I trusted in God and God's timing. And I thought, if this is my time to win, then it's going to work out. My guns are going to work, my ammo's going to work, and I'm going to work. And so that's how I kept it.
That's a great tip. How about you, Kenny?
Probably 2023 in Vegas. I won my class. I won the Open Senior Incentive in the showcase, and I took third to Dylan, who won the overall that year, and Chad Little was reserve. And then I took third overall to both of them, which I felt very proud of. And I did it on a horse that I broke to ride, and I brought her along, and I'd always felt like I'd let her down. She was so good for me, and I got so close to winning some big things on her, and it let her down. And I felt like we finally came through as a team, and it just felt like a real sense of accomplishment to do for that mare.
I didn't write this question down, but I have another question for you that I usually ask, and that's, what guns do you shoot and why?
We all shoot different guns for different reasons.
I was hoping you would say that.
Yep. I am a hobbyist gunsmith, and I have been apprenticing with gunsmiths since I was 17 years old. So I have a lot of different opinions about a lot of different guns. My dad shoots the original Rugers that we got when we first got into the sport. I'll let Dylan talk to you about his guns. But we have clients that shoot Cimarrons. We have clients that shoot Taylors. I personally picked up a pair of long-barreled, easily hammered EMFs, and I love them. I didn't think, as being a small person with, short torso, carrying a longer barreled gun, I didn't think I would like it, and I absolutely love it. And since I've made that switch, I've stuck with those guns, and I've worked my way through probably 5 pairs of guns to find what I like. But I tell people coming in to the sport, new clients, stuff like that, it is 100% personal preference. In my opinion, Rugers are the workhorse of the, all of our guns, and they're a hardy gun, and they're going to go forever, but it is 100% personal preference.
And there we have another hidden talent coming out. An apprentice gunsmith.
I've shot everything. I've shot Rugers, EMFs, Taylors. I don't have a major preference. Up until a couple years ago, I started shooting Colts. I shoot 3rd-gen Colts. They're very well-made guns. It's probably, they're the best single actions you can buy. They're just incredibly hard to find and very expensive most of the time. So, yeah, I was able to get my hands on a set thanks to Joe Whiteley, mounted shooting legend out of California. So I appreciated him getting me hooked up with a set, and that's what I shoot.
I was going to say, those are fancy.
Yeah, I think most men's 6s shoot, there's a ton of men's 6s that shoot Colts now. I'd say probably that when we go to majors, probably 50-60% of them shoot Colts now. There's a lot of them.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Who has been influential in your success in mounted shooting? And that could be people and horses. And there's probably going to be some overlap here between all of you.
Well, I'll start with an easy one. I'm going to start with a horse because all 3 of us shot on this horse. And I thought this horse helped me with my shooting the most to move up in my journey. But that would be a horse called Monkey. And he, between the 3 of us, is kind of infamous. He was a silly horse, and he was a bronky son of a gun, but he had the heart of a lion. And we all three competed on him, but for me, he would probably be my most influential horse as far as advancing my shooting. My mom has been just an amazing person in my life for all of my life. My dad was, I just looked up to my dad. He was a horseman. He's actually in the Lexington Horse Museum. He was a very famous horseman. And just to how he went about his business. You know, I will tell you, my wife is so supportive of me, of everything that I do. And when things are a little bit tough, she, you know, has the right words to say and encouragement. And, you know, and obviously, you know, my kids, they are very, if I go in and do a run, you know, they'll come up and, hey, Dad, you know, you did this wrong or that wrong, or, you know, and it's done in a positive, you know, educational way. And so, I don't know, there's so many people I could point to. I could also say this, some of the most inspiring people to me in our sport are the lower level people that are doing the most with the least. Yeah. They might not have the athletic talent, they might not have the nicest horse, but they're out there, they're committed, they're, you know, invested, they're putting the work in, and they're doing the best they can. And sometimes those people, for me, are some of the most inspirational people that we overlook.
I mean, obviously, you know, my dad, my father, I mean, he tees me up on horses. He helps me immensely. I'd like to, you know, take in a little different direction too. My horse Clifford, I've been shooting on him since 2017. I'm a little biased, but I think he's probably the best shooting horse in the world right now. And he's incredible. He's right with me. I owe all of my success to him. He put me on the map. He's given me so much confidence. He's literally, I mean, if you know me, you know how much I love my horses. He's a once in a lifetime horse, and all I want to do is talk about him. And all my friends know that when I shoots, Clifford's my guy. And I also draw a lot of inspiration from, you know, my friends. You know, I'm lucky enough to have great friends that we shoot with, like Colin Esau, Mitchell Kramer, even Zane. You know, we're rivals, but but we're friends and we respect each other immensely. And I draw a lot of inspiration from them pushing each other. And I feel like every time I go to a major, we're just teeing off on the ball, seeing who can do the craziest stuff, run the craziest times, and win. And
how about you, Rylee?
I can honestly find a reason that everyone in my life has been influential in my mounted shooting career. I mean, if my stepmom Leanne wasn't at home watching the ranch, we couldn't be doing this. You know, all the way back to the pony I won the worlds on colicked. I had financial help from all my parents, and then we won the worlds the year after he colicked and had to have the surgery. And, you know, everyone in my life, the gunsmith I've learned from, Jim Lincoln, he's incredible. Everyone in my life has been influential in my mounted shooting career and getting us to where we are. And when it comes to horses, I thought about this when I got this answer. I have competed on and shot on 9 different horses since we've started, which is a lot. And every single one of them has taught me something different. My boy Jex, who is retired at home now, he's a little pony of America that my dad bought for me when I was 8 or 9 years old. And he was 2. And didn't really thought he would be a good kid's pony, and he's the one that got me all the way to a 6 and won me the Eliminator and got that ladies overall win that I talked about. He's you know, he's the best. And you know, he retired and I had a rough year hopping around on horses. And our fantastic client Renee White, who has been very generous, has put me on this mare Betty, and honestly, she has reignited my passion for mounted shooting and has helped me rebuild my confidence that I desperately needed. So I could talk, you know, for an hour about this, but that's my short answer.
What's a little known fact about each of you? And you might end up answering this for one another.
Dylan.
Oh boy, me first, huh?
Yeah.
I'm pretty talkative, so a lot of people know a lot of things about me, to be honest. You know me, you know I like to talk. A lot of people don't know I played lacrosse for 7-8 years at a high level. I played travel ball lacrosse, traveled all over. I played in high school. I actually, up until 2017, my plan was I wanted to go to college and play. And then I got really serious about mounted shooting and decided my junior or senior year of high school, I dropped out of lacrosse and went full-time mounted shooting and never looked back. But yeah, that's probably the only fact I can think of off the top of my head.
I'm sure a lot of the things that you learned in lacrosse that you transferred over to mounted shooting, right?
Yeah, I'm ultra competitive. Me and my dad play ping pong at the house. And actually, I'll let my dad tell you about his collegiate career, but I'm super into tennis, and we play a lot of tennis, and we actually play with a former professional who had the world's fastest serve, and we go out there and we talk a ton of smack. I can't even probably say a quarter of the things that we say to each other out there, and we're just super competitive, and I've always had that. I've inherited that competitive drive definitely from my dad, and my girlfriend Jessica, she's also a level 6 shooter. She's super competitive, and so we kind of have we always have little competitions, whether we're playing games. We play a lot of card games, and so yeah, I draw a lot of competitive spirit from stuff like that.
And we had Jessica on the podcast pretty early on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I played. I was a full ride soccer player into college, and I also played tennis in college. And then I went on to play professional soccer for the San Diego Sockers in the Major Indoor Soccer League. It was indoor soccer, and so that would probably be the least known. I don't even talk about that part of my life at all. So, but that would probably be the least known fact about me.
What drew you back to the horses from soccer and a career in soccer?
Well, I never really, I grew up, like my dad was a professional horseman, so I grew up with the horses, and I had a career actually as a contractor for several years as well, but I always dabbled in the horses, and they were always part of my journey. This is just where my passion is. It's what I enjoy the most. It's what I get the most satisfaction out of, is working with the horses. And so it's never really left me. It's just taken different shapes.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I took quite a few years off away from horses to live in Japan in the middle of Tokyo, which was as far from green pastures and horses as you can possibly get. But that draw is always there as soon as you get the opportunity to go back to it.
Well, you know what it is? It's like therapy. When you're on a horse, your problems just kind of get smaller or go away, and you just get invested into the moment of being on a horse. And there's just something. It's spiritual. There's just something beautiful about it that I think everyone. I always say it. You're either a horse person or you're not.
Yeah, exactly that. Rylee, what's your little known fact?
I kind of dabbled on them, but I am a certified welder and I'm a hobbyist gunsmith. But probably something that we don't talk about is that I was very much in the saddlebreds as a child. What we grew up doing and competing in, and I went to my first world championships when I was 8 years old in Louisville, Kentucky. And to get me to the world championships that year, I actually competed on a horse named Miranda, who is a Breyer doll. So that's kind of a cool fact. And I was very blessed and very privileged through my grandfather's connections in that industry and my dad's connections to be able to ride. I rode 2 Breyer dolls and competed on them. And that was just a really cool part of my foundation as a horsewoman. To say you went to your first world championships at 8 years old is pretty cool.
Yeah. And to say that you've ridden a bridle is pretty cool.
Yeah, I have both of them. But yeah, that's my little known fact.
I think we need to see some pictures of this.
I have some on Miranda and competing. And she was a 3-gated 7-time world champion in the saddlebred. Is that correct? And my grandpa broke her to ride and started her. And then as an 8-year-old, I was able to compete on her, which is just incredible.
That is amazing.
Yep.
What are some of your plans for the rest of the year? We're halfway through the year now, so we're coming up to Worlds, but what are some of your plans?
Wait, that's it? We're only halfway through?
This is easy for me. I guess I'll go first. This is easy for me. Well, the plan is right now we're in Flagstaff, getting ready to shoot the Flagstaff rodeo. I'm gonna go home and not touch my guns until Vegas. I'm burnt, but I'm super excited. I'm fortunate enough that our amazing client Renee White is totally killed it for us on the horses the last couple of years. And she actually purchased Brett Burkowski's futurity horse, Jelly Bean. And I'm going to be derbying her this year and taking her to the AQHA World. And I'm really, really excited about that. And she's only 5. And that's something I'm really looking forward to. And obviously taking Clifford and I've never been to the Eastern Championship, so I'd like to go and hopefully compete well. And I'm going to win. And I also am looking forward to the World Championships again this year. And I'd really like to get that AQHA trophy. So that's something I'm looking forward to. But yeah, we got a lot of traveling ahead of us. We're going to Tennessee, then we're gonna go to Vernon World, do the whole circuit, and obviously we got Vegas coming up. So packed year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also have a little 5-year-old mare that I'm gonna derby that Renee purchased, Betty, who I was talking about. So that'll be fun, and it'll be fun. I flew in and shot Easterns, not last year, but the year before, which was fun. So I'll be excited to go and bring my own horse this time. And then, go shoot Worlds in Vernon. And so we definitely have a packed year.
We're excited about the rest of the year. I'm also going to be derbying a horse called Athena. And so we're excited about, we've never been to Tennessee for this, the Shelbyville shoot. And we're excited about experiencing that. And we're excited about the rest of the season. So we have a lot to be grateful for and to look forward to.
Well, this is the Father's Day podcast. So before we close, Dylan or Rylee, anything you want to say to your dad or about your dad?
They're sweating.
I'll go quick while it's on my mind. My dad, he spends so much time teeing us up on horses, teeing clients up. A lot of times at shoots, he's working so much more than he's actually getting to have fun. And I don't think people realize that. Even people around us that are really close don't see how much hard work goes into it. I'm at home, all the time. And my dad's riding horses 7 days a week, making sure that the clients are successful and that we're successful. I know that, I can speak for both of us, how appreciative we are. And I would not have tasted even an ounce of the success that I've had without my dad. He spent so many hours, on my horse, getting me where I needed to be and teeing us up. So I'm very thankful for that. And I don't want to speak for Rylee, but that's how I feel.
I hope my dad knows how much gratitude I have for him and everything that he does. And everything he does for me on a daily basis does not go unnoticed or unrecognized. And I might not tell him every day how grateful I am, but I hope that he knows, because I do know how hard he works for me, for us, for our family, for our clients. So I just hope that he knows that, and I hope you get a big win this year. You deserve it.
Yeah.
Well, I can just tell you that the biggest gift in my life is being a father to the two of these people right here, and I'm really proud of both of them. They're grown up to be good people and hard workers, and I'm proud to be their father.
Thank you.
I think that's the best note that we could possibly end this episode of the podcast on. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you. It's been our pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rylee, Dylan, and Kenny. It was such an honor and such a pleasure talking to you. And once again, happy Father's Day to all of the dads out there. Now, some of you might have noticed that there is now a Balloon Killers Facebook page. So if you want to keep up with everything Balloon Killers, please give us a like. And if there are balloon killers that you would like to hear interviewed on this podcast, please email me on balloonkillers@gmail.com. That's balloonkillers, all one word, @gmail.com.